Tomorrow, February 21st, marks the first day that NFL teams can franchise tag players and restrict their movement. The franchise tag is often used to extend a negotiating period. It doesn't just mean a team wants to have a player playing on a tag. It's expensive. If a new deal can't be worked out, the team could try and force the player to sign the tag, play on the tag, call the player's bluff, because who's really going to hold out in the case of a quarterback and not make $40+ million for 1 year and sit out and get paid zero? There are two types of franchise tags, the exclusive tag and the non-exclusive tag. The exclusive tag is the bigger one, the one that holds a player in place. No teams can negotiate with said player. Player can't try and negotiate with another team. Teams have to pay the player the top 5 average salary at the position. This was designed initially to, some say, hold a quarterback in place so they could negotiate a longer term deal or give the quarterback compensation enough if they were being held in a box. Now it's used across the board for any position. When a player is going to be an unrestricted free agent, they could go sign anywhere. That's when teams will throw the franchise tag on the player. Each year, each team can use an exclusive or non-exclusive tag, but only one. The non-exclusive tag is like the franchise tag, a 1-year deal essentially that offers the player the average of the top 5 cap hits at the position or 120% of the player's previous year's salary, whichever is greater. The difference between the two tags is the exclusive tag. There's no offer sheets or teams can't come after the player. But if you non-exclusive tag a player, let's say the Ravens non-exclusive tag Lamar instead of exclusive tag him, teams can come after him and offer him, slap down an offer sheet. And the Ravens will have the ability to match, but if they don't, if the offer's too big and the Ravens are like, wow, we can't match that, we weren't going to give them that anyway, then they get 2 first-rounders from the team that made the offer. In the case of Lamar Jackson, he's going to command 3 first-round picks in a trade. Hence why the team will most likely slap Lamar with the exclusive franchise tag. Now, the reason they may or may not dance around doing the exclusive tag over the non-exclusive tag is because if for any reason a team didn't come and offer, there's a lot less money you tie up. There's a well over $12 million difference in the tag. But for Lamar, again, they know they're going to get 3 first-rounders for him, so they're not going to, I don't think, use that non-exclusive tag. Let's break into more details around these 4 guys who are the top names potentially capable of being franchise tagged tomorrow.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Take a lap.
Beginning tomorrow at 4 p.m. New York time through March 7. They don't have to do this tomorrow. They have until March 7. Teams can slap the franchise tag on a player. However, when a player's franchise tag, they develop a lot of animosity usually toward the team because it's a control move. Once referred to as the prison tag by many players, it leaves the player feeling like, 1, they're unable to go where they want. 2, the team's not wanting to pay them a long-term deal, hence why they're at a standstill in negotiations and the team slapping a tag on them to keep them because they couldn't figure out a deal ahead of time. So this prison tag can be applied tomorrow, February 21 through March 7. The advantage of slapping a tag on one of these guys early would be that you have more time to work with the player to negotiate. If you slap the tag on them on March 7, then you only have from March 7 to March 15 to work out a new deal, because then the league year begins and trades can happen, free agency opens up, and a lot of stuff happens really quick. So if you only leave yourself 7-8 days to work things out with Lamar or Pollard or Barkley or Jones, you might miss out on the trade opportunities of trading these players away if they're disgruntled. Let's dig into the New York situation. So we got Saquon Barkley and we also have Danny Dimes. Both of these guys are subject to the franchise tag. Now again, teams only get 1. They have to pick between exclusive and non-exclusive. Danny Dimes and Barkley are both capable of being franchise tagged, probably the exclusive one. However, New York could say, hey, we're gonna assume no one's given more than 3 first-rounders for Danny Dimes, so let's slap the non-exclusive on him. But someone could give up 2 future first-rounders. It's a really weak QB pool out there in free agency. There are 7, 8, 9, 10 teams. We talk about it all the time on the show. All of these teams are interested in a quarterback, and so you're definitely putting Daniel Jones at risk in terms of getting snatched away if you do slap any kind of tag on him that allows a team to negotiate and slap down an offer sheet in front of them. But you do have things to consider, like, okay, running backs have a short shelf life. Do we want to just slap the franchise tag on Barkley? Which running backs, it costs you just over $10 million. On quarterbacks, it's over $40 million. Big difference if you're talking about, okay, we want rent the player for one more year, we can still franchise tag him the next year. However, the amount is 120% the previous year, so it's not as easy as, oh, we'll franchise tag him at the 10 mil again next year. The 10 mil is going to go up. So if you wanted to franchise tag Barkley 2 years in a row, it's not going to be the same price in year 2 of franchise tagging him. But let's say you franchise tag Barkley, not a big deal, 10 mil. Franchise tagging Danny Dimes, 40 plus mil on the books. And it's complicated to hold that money as you walk into free agency, because if the player is going to be disgruntled and not show up, and Lamar could maybe not show up during, we'll get to that in a minute. But Danny Dimes, the same thing could be said. New York trying to build off of last year. If Danny Dimes is unhappy, and maybe he'll play at the $40+ million for 1 year, maybe he's thrilled about that. I mean, to be honest with you, Danny Dimes, looking at Danny Dimes' stats, he had a great year. He had a great year. He had 3,200 yards passing, 15 touchdowns. He had 700 yards on the ground and 7 touchdowns. He was one of 3 quarterbacks to run for 700 yards and throw for 3,000. Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen being the other 2. It's very good company. I'm not saying he's that good. I'm obviously worried about him doing it again, hence why the team probably is a little bit apprehensive, giving him a fat $40 million per year contract. I personally would be worried about him doing it again, right? Repeating what he did last year, which is why the team's probably gun shy giving him a big, huge, fat payday, committing to him when they've only seen him do it 1 year. But Dable is so good with quarterbacks. Danny Dimes did have a great year. The word is they do, New York, want to sign both of these guys to a long-term deal. They don't want to franchise tag one. They don't want to lose either one of them. They don't want to trade either one of them. So this is different than, I think, the Lamar situation, because I think there's some interest in trading Lamar. We'll get to Lamar in a second again. But New York is going to most likely have to throw the tag on one of these guys. They're not going to do it initially because, again, they're trying to work out long-term deals with both of these guys. One or both of the situations sour, they'll probably hold off on the tag, but you never know. They could throw a tag on them right away. Maybe one of them wants to play on the tag. Like I said, Danny Dimes is going to get paid $40+ million for 1 year. Maybe he's okay with that. Barkley, because it's a $10 million tag, not a big deal for the team, but again, animosity. You don't want to create animosity with the player if you're still trying to work out a long-term deal. Once they get to a stalemate, that's when you're going to probably see a tag get thrown on one of these guys. If I had to guess, they're going to throw the tag on Barkley versus throwing the tag on Danny Dimes. I initially in the offseason thought they'd throw the tag on Danny Dimes and sign Barkley to the longer term deal, but because of the shelf life of the running back at the NFL level, given the fact that they're paying Danny Dimes $40+ million for 1 year versus just giving him a similar deal over the course of a couple years and structuring the deal properly to help the team, it's probably just going to fit into the plans better to give Barkley a $10 million franchise tag deal and give Danny Dimes the bigger contract, tying up the $40+ million for 1 year, but then also for the consecutive years after, versus paying Barkley a monster deal and also franchise tagging Danny Dimes for $40+ million. So odds are, if they don't work out a deal with both these guys, they franchise tag Barkley and then they continue to work out a long-term deal with Danny Dimes. But what if they franchise tag Danny Dimes, they don't franchise tag Barkley, and Barkley, who they want to bring back and Barkley wants to stay, now gets to say, well, wait a minute, I'm going to go test out the free agent market. I'm going to see what kind of money I can get. New York's in a bit of a pickle. They have to negotiate one of these deals before they throw the tag down, which is why I think they wait a long time to throw the tag down, is because they need to work out one of these deals. Whoever they don't work a deal out with, that player's getting tagged. Tony Pollard is most likely getting franchise tagged. There's been news reports on this. NBC Sports is reporting that Tony Pollard is expected to receive the franchise tag, and that's going to be like I said, a $10 million amount for the RB, which is not a big deal for a team. However, the team is in a bind currently at the running back position because they have Ezekiel Elliott also getting paid a big number that they need to cut down to size. And so they're probably going to restructure his deal, and he'll take a large pay cut, quote unquote, according to Pro Football Network. So if Zeke Elliott will take a pay cut in order to stay with the team, you might see both these guys on the roster in 2023. However, there is a scenario where the team is franchise tagging Tony Pollard on a $10 million deal and Zeke Elliott goes elsewhere. My guess is restructuring happened, similar to Aaron Jones in Green Bay. He restructured. Now the team has Dylan and Aaron Jones. I think the Cowboys will have Zeke and Pollard. And Jerry Jones loves Zeke, but I do think it's going to be Pollard's season. I think the fact that they're even considering cutting Zeke Elliott tells you that they really want Pollard in there. And the use of a franchise tag on Pollard is no small indication how important they see him walking into 2023. He did suffer the injury. He recently had surgery on his fractured left fibula. He'll be ready for the beginning of the season, obviously. So there's no real concern about Pollard being good to go. The injury doesn't concern me, shouldn't concern fantasy owners. It most certainly shouldn't concern the team. They know what they're getting with Pollard. Pollard might be a moon man at some point. We love Pollard. He was a moon man last year, top 10 running back extraordinaire in the making. And Elliott falling off this year will help Pollard, I think, thrive at the running back position in 2023 versus last year being a 50-50 rotating type of situation. Lamar feels like the most likely of these players to be traded on the tag. I think he gets franchise tagged almost certainly because the team is reportedly $100 million apart in guaranteed money. And they traded away his best wide receiver last year. They don't support him. He's been failing there 3 years in a row. I think he's going to be itching for a change as the franchise tag and more of this. I feel slighted by not getting the money that I'm asking for type of situation keeps growing and manifesting. Players always do this. When they get tagged, they watch all these other situations and they start drooling over the idea of going somewhere new. Not to mention the money is always going to be greater when you're being traded for because the team that is giving up compensation needs to wow you and get you to accept a deal in principle so that when this deal goes through, the tagging, the trading over to, let's just call it Miami. And then you've got Miami Mike having to have worked out a deal with Lamar that paid him handsomely so that the Miami Dolphins felt comfortable enough to make the trade. No one's going to surrender 3 first-round picks for a player that they don't have a contract lined up for. And again, you move, you're going to get the bank. And again, if you're trading and moving teams like in this fashion, you're going to get the bag. The Ravens have a new offensive coordinator in Munkin, and he's not going to want this lingering situation as he's trying to implement and roll out his new offense. Think about it. If they're sitting there and Lamar's super unhappy and he wants $100 million more guaranteed dollars, and Munkin's trying to wait out Lamar, and Lamar's holding out, not showing up, you're talking about a long time that this Ravens offense can't develop. This team may want to start over with all the draft capital they can get. They haven't been winning and having success with Lamar. They don't want to pay him what he's probably commanding in the fair market value, to be honest. This is not a situation where Lamar's being crazy. The team isn't giving him anything close to what he's asking for. And it's going to be chump change 2 or 3 years from now. The quarterback value is going to skyrocket. Every year it goes up. The cap increases. All the Amazon and YouTube money coming in, the cap's going to go up again. In 2 years, the cap's going to go up another 20% like it did the past 2 years. Baltimore is silly for even debating this right now, but I think it opens the door to a Lamar in Miami, a Lamar in Las Vegas, or what we hope to be the most ideal landing spot for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson in Atlanta. Throwing footballs to Kyle Pitts, throwing footballs to Drake London, turning Drake London into a wide receiver monster. We'll know very soon, maybe as early as tomorrow, probably not. My guess is nobody throws a tag on a player on day one. But we may know sooner versus later because the Ravens will want to try and negotiate with the tag on Lamar a deal. And if they can't get a deal done, then when March 15 comes rolling around, guess what? Lamar trade rumors are going to be at an all-time high. Smoke season's here. Those are the main franchise tag situations walking into tomorrow. So we'll talk about more of this tomorrow and the ensuing weeks because there's going to be a whole lot of news breaking. We're obviously not done talking about this because the tag can be applied tomorrow. It doesn't mean it will be. So we have until March 7th before the teams have to throw tags on these players. I'm live Monday through Friday, every single Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm live whenever news breaks. I also drop videos like this one throughout the day, and I'm live at midnight most every other night doing live drafts with all of you on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Use the link in the description to get $100 dollar for dollar bonus match at Underdog Fantasy. Use that link and do it live. And don't forget to get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com, which is my content site. Bold predictions, rankings, your boy Smitty, we believe, invented the trade calculator in 2003. I say believe because someone could have been working on one in their basement. We don't know. But your boy Smitty got into the fantasy business in 2003 because no one had a trade calculator. No one had content that was year round. I wanted to make the first 365, not Dynasty, because Dynasty wasn't a big thing back then. I did Dynasty from the jump, but I wanted to be one of the first 365 content sites with rankings up for the next season during the Super Bowl. Like I have 365 rankings. I take pride in my rankings being 365 days a year, because there should be no moment in time where there's not an updated list of rankings for you. Redraft, Dynasty, Top 200, Rookie rankings, Super Rookie rankings, which are my most popular rankings. Get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com, and don't forget about the Dynasty channel, youtube.com/Dynasty Fantasy Football. That link is in the description. Don't miss out on the Dynasty content by not subscribing to the Dynasty channel. We got just over 1,000 subscribers as of today on the new Dynasty channel. Now get out of here.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.